For more than 2,000 years, one civilization shaped the political landscape of the Middle East and beyond. Its kings ruled vast territories stretching from the Mediterranean to Central Asia. Its cities produced poetry, science, architecture, and administrative systems that influenced empires for centuries. To the outside world, that civilization had a single name, Persia. But today, that same land appears on maps under a different name entirely, Iran. So what happened? Did Persia disappear? Did a new country replace it? Or was Persia simply renamed? The answer reveals something fascinating about how history, language, and politics shape the way civilizations are remembered. Because Persia did not become Iran. In many ways, Persia had always been Iran. If you enjoy history that explains how ancient civilizations shaped the modern world, subscribe. Because some of the countries dominating headlines today have stories that began thousands of years ago. Long before the word Persia entered the vocabulary of Western historians, the Iranian plateau was already home to diverse communities connected by language, culture, and migration. These people were part of the larger Indo-Iranian migrations that spread across Central and South Asia thousands of years ago. They referred to themselves using a term that meant something simple yet powerful, Arya. In their ancient languages, the word meant noble or free people. From this root came a geographical identity, a homeland, a region described in early texts as Arianam, the land of the Aryans. Over centuries, the pronunciation gradually evolved. Arianam became Aran. Eventually, it became Iran. Inside the region, this name was widely understood as a description of a cultural and linguistic world, a broad civilization stretching across the Iranian plateau. But the outside world would encounter that civilization through a very different lens. In the 6th century BC, a particular tribe living in southern Iran rose to dominance. They were known as the Persians. Their homeland was a region called Pars, located in what is today's southern Iran. From this region emerged one of history's most influential leaders, Cyrus the Great. Cyrus unified the Persian tribes and launched a series of conquests that created one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. Within a few decades, his empire stretched from Anatolia and Egypt to Central Asia and the Indus Valley. This empire brought together dozens of cultures, languages, and religions under a single imperial administration. But when the Greeks encountered this massive empire, they made a simple assumption: the ruling dynasty was Persian. Therefore, the empire must be Persia. The name stuck. Greek historians like Herodotus wrote extensively about the Persian Empire, and their terminology spread throughout the Mediterranean world. From that point forward, most European languages refer to the entire civilization as Persia, even though the people living there still understood their homeland as part of a broader Iranian cultural world. Over the next 1,000 years, powerful dynasties ruled the Iranian plateau. The Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus and expanded by rulers like Darius the Great, became one of the most sophisticated administrative states of the ancient world. Royal roads connected distant provinces. Local religions were tolerated. Governors known as satraps administered vast territories. Even after Alexander the Great conquered the Achaemenids, the Iranian political tradition did not disappear. It adapted. The Parthian Empire emerged centuries later, successfully resisting Roman expansion and dominating trade routes across the Middle East. Then came the Sasanian Empire, which ruled from the 3rd to the 7th century. In their official inscriptions, the Sasanian rulers repeatedly use a term for their realm, Iranshar, literally meaning the Kingdom of Iran. Inside the civilization, the Iranian identity remained clear, but beyond its borders, the old Greek term persisted. To the Roman world, to medieval Europe, to early modern travelers, the land remained known simply as Persia. By the early 20th century, the once powerful Persian state had become politically fragile. The ruling Qajar dynasty struggled to maintain authority as foreign powers increasingly interfered in the region. Both Russia and Britain sought influence over Persian territory, resources, and trade routes. Internal corruption, economic problems, and political instability weakened the government. Then, in 1921, a military officer named Reza Khan led a coup that dramatically reshaped the country's future. Reza Khan was ambitious, disciplined, and deeply interested in modernizing the state. By 1925, he had overthrown the Qajar monarchy and crowned himself Reza Shah Pahlavi. His vision was clear. He wanted to transform the country into a centralized modern nation. Railways were built. The military was reorganized. Education systems were expanded. But he also wanted to redefine how the country saw itself and how the world saw it. For centuries, European diplomats, merchants, and scholars have referred to the country as Persia. The name had been used in Western languages since the time of the ancient Greeks, who encountered the powerful Persian Empire and assumed the entire civilization carried the name of the ruling Persian tribe. By the early 20th century, that label had become deeply embedded in international diplomacy. Embassies, treaties, maps, and foreign governments all referred to the country as Persia. But to Reza Shah, who had taken power in the 1920s and was determined to modernize and centralize the state, that name felt incomplete. The word Persia referred specifically to Pars, the southern region where the ancient Persian tribe had originated. It was historically important, but it represented only one part of a far larger and more diverse country. The state he ruled contained many ethnic groups and regional identities: Kurds in the west, Azeris in the northwest, Baluch communities in the southeast, Arab populations along the Persian Gulf, and Persians themselves across the Central Plateau. To Reza Shah, the name Persia emphasized just one historical region and one ethnic identity. But the name Iran carried a much broader meaning. It was an ancient word that had been used internally for centuries, derived from the older term Aryanam, meaning the land of the Iranian peoples. It appeared in historical inscriptions, literature, and royal titles long before modern nationalism existed. Using the name Iran, in Reza Shah's view, connected the modern state not only to the Persian Empire, but to the entire Iranian civilizational world that had developed over thousands of years. The change also fit into a wider project of national transformation. Reza Shah was building railways, reforming the military, expanding education, and reducing the power of regional elites. He wanted a stronger, centralized identity that looked forward as much as it looked backward. So in 1935, he made a formal request to foreign governments. From that point onward, international diplomatic correspondence should use the name Iran instead of Persia. The request was symbolic, but significant. It did not create a new country. It did not erase Persian history. Instead, it asked the world to recognize the state by the name its own people had used for generations. On March 21st, 1935, the Persian New Year, the change officially took effect in diplomatic communications. Foreign embassies began referring to the country as Iran. Maps were updated. International organizations adopted the new name. And slowly, over the following decades, the name Iran replaced Persia in global political language. But the cultural memory of Persia, its poetry, art, architecture, and ancient empires, would never disappear. The transition created a certain amount of confusion, particularly outside the country. For centuries, the name Persia had been deeply embedded in global culture, scholarship, and literature. European travelers, historians, and artists had used the term for generations. Entire academic fields had developed around what they called Persian civilization. Museums displayed Persian artifacts. Universities taught courses on Persian history. Collectors sought out Persian carpets, renowned for their intricate designs and centuries-old weaving traditions. Writers praised Persian poetry, especially the works of figures like Hafez, Sa'di, and Rumi, whose verses had influenced literature far beyond the Middle East. Even the language spoken across much of the country was widely known in the outside world as Persian or Farsi. Because of this long tradition, many scholars and historians worried that abandoning the name Persia might create an unintended consequence. They feared that the change could blur the connection between the modern country and the ancient civilization that had shaped so much of world history. After all, when people heard the word Persia, they immediately thought of the great empires of antiquity: Cyrus the Great, Darius, Persepolis, the Royal Road, the vast imperial networks that once connected Asia, Africa, and Europe. If the name Persia disappeared entirely from public language, Some historians worry that thousands of years of cultural memory might slowly fade from view. Recognizing this concern, the Iranian government eventually clarified an important point. The new name Iran did not erase the word Persia. Instead, the two terms would serve different roles. Iran would remain the official political name of the modern state, the name used in diplomacy, international organizations, and global politics. But Persia would continue to exist as a historical and cultural term, referring to the long artistic, literary, and imperial traditions that had developed over millennia. In other words, the civilization itself had not changed. The poetry was still Persian. The carpets were still Persian. The artistic traditions were still Persian. What had changed was simply the label used by modern governments when referring to the country on maps and in international affairs. Persia had not disappeared. It had simply become one part of a broader national identity, now known to the world as Iran. Today, the country is universally recognized as Iran, but the legacy of Persia continues to shape its identity. The poetry of Hafez and Rumi, the architecture of Persepolis, the administrative traditions that once governed one of the largest empires in ancient history. All of these remain part of the same long historical story. Persia never truly vanished. The civilization simply reintroduced itself to the world under the name it had carried for centuries. History is full of names that hide deeper stories. Countries don't simply appear on maps. They evolve over centuries. And sometimes the biggest change is not the civilization itself, but the way the world chooses to describe it. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, because the next story will explore how the Persian Empire once became one of the most powerful forces in the ancient world.